talk. I know you had given us some talking points, but I agree with everyone that has said on the team. That for the young women in the room, you do have to make a vision, make it plain, go after your dreams. And instead of having revenge, a constructive revenge, is to make liars out of the naysayers. I think all of us that said we had no idea of coming into politics. I just wanted to serve. I don't need a title to serve, but being able to be blessed, to be a blessing to others, being able to lead from the front, there's a soft place to land for everyone. You don't have to be a political leader or elected official. You can work in the background, but as long as we're working towards a common goal and getting it done. I just didn't like what I saw on either side of the aisle, Republican or Democrat. And I said, how can I use my skill set to help move Franklin forward, this county forward, and this nation forward? I'd already served my church, my family, and my community, and now it was another way of giving back and giving service by putting my hat in the ring and running for elected office. You can do it. Stay engaged, stay involved. We are here for you, we are here with you, and there's nothing too hard that we can't do together. So I encourage the young people, especially the young ladies that are here today, please continue to stay engaged and involved. We don't say things by happenstance, there's no coincidence. Continue to do the work. I think all of us can say that we are available to our community. Just reach out. There's nothing to our, we're here today on a Saturday, but we found it not robbery to make sure that we continue to stay engaged and involved. The Women's Club of Franklin, they do a phenomenal job. Continue to do the work I don't have enough room on my plate, but I can, in the background, anything that Phyllis will call or need, we're only a phone call or a text away. So continue to stay engaged, stay involved. We are not doing this only for ourselves. It's always been, and I think women have a theme of service before self. Always serving others, always showing love, dignity, compassion, empathy, and sympathy for your neighbor. And we can go far as a nation and as a community. So thank you.
I'm going to crack a joke. That's why we need a woman president.
Thank you so much to our wonderful chief guest here and the Women's Club of Franklin for all your service to the society, community, and to the nation. We give a lot of thanks to you, for the service, the kind of service you are doing. Stepping up as a woman in this society is not so easy. So you would have crossed all those hurdles in your pathway, and we would like to have this like a panel session so that the audiences can have their questions to the chief guest, so that they can get a better understanding of what they have faced, or you can guide us.
I think, John, I think you hit it on the nail on that one. I think a lot, and it seems like it's a common theme though. Every time I speak to not just the Franklin local government, stepping outside, I do a lot of networking outside because I want to see what we're missing in Franklin, what can I gather from other politicians, leaders, and bring it to Franklin. Because it's always important that we also step out of our box and see what's out there, what are we missing. And sometimes it's not, we're already out there in terms of Franklin's to-do list. We already have done it, been there, done that kind of state, but there's also a lot of learnings for us. So people ask me all the time, like, how did you get started? And I say, well, I never wanted to be a politician, right? And I think that's a common thing that I'm hearing, and throughout even, like I said, my friends from the political backgrounds of different, from East Brunswick, North Brunswick, South Brunswick, it's the same thing. They were not planned to be a politician, right? It just happened. We were given another task to do in our list of tasks, and we fulfilled it, and we're fulfilling it. I think that's one of the things that as women, like we, take a role and we take it very passionately and we serve it with passion. And it's not about a title. It's not about being a director, a councilwoman, or anything, right? It's more of just doing the job because you're doing it for a community and serving, like Shana said, I think serving, right? We're like born to serve, right? And sometimes it's hard. And I know Phyllis just took a very side because she's part of the mental health community, and it does take a big challenge, right? And we're going to discuss our challenges, and I'm sure it's going to be very common themes as well. But I wanted to say, like, I think none of us here just stood and say, hey, one day we're going to become a politician, because we don't really give credit to ourselves as much as we should. But now I think, thinking back, I said, we should always step up and take these opportunities, right? We shouldn't second guess it or think it's not us, it's not for us. Someone else had to nominate us, most of us, to get to this position. And sometimes I think of it as such a silly idea that we didn't nominate ourselves. But it's okay. But, I want to give a shout out to Councilman Carl Wright. I see him in the back. Councilman. Councilman Wright.
Councilman Wright.
Councilman Wright.
Hello.
And I also want to give a shout out to one of our own media, Franklin Park reporter and advocate, PJ Parker. He's one of the backbones of Franklin, so it wouldn't be great if I did not give these two folks a quick shout out. But what I want to do is let's take it back a little bit, right? I think we spoke about that this is a role that wasn't given to us, right? Let's learn about our early life, right? Let's learn about things that you guys may not know about us. Growing up, what you guys wanted to do. I think you hit a little bit of what you wanted to do, but if there's anything else that you would like to add, and I'll go first. Like, I wanted to be a teacher, right? I went to Montclair State University to do education as my studies, and I thought I was going to teach. I was so passionate about, who inspired me was my first grade teacher. And they say that school, you see mentors, and you actually do take on those roles, and you say, okay, if you want to do something like that. So when I grew up, I said, I'm going to be a teacher. I want to, teach first graders, because that was like a passion for me to do, educate them and be part of the whole classroom and be called Mrs. Udine, right? Or Miss Udine one day. I don't know, that just rang so like self-respect for me, right? So I felt like, I'm going to be an educator. And I went to Montclair, and I ended up getting an internship for, at that time, IT wasn't IT, right? It was like finance. Wall Street was like the biggest school, right? So I started working as an intern for an IT firm in East Brunswick. And when I started working there, I went from like so many different roles. I went, from the ground, from as an intern, as an analyst, to an office manager, to working with SAP coding. I had no idea what coding is. I wasn't even going to school for that, right? I ended up doing purchasing, procurement. I didn't know what that was, and I didn't go to school for that. So as time started going on, I saw that I started shifting from education into information technology without even knowing it, right? And I ended up loving the relationships with vendors and suppliers and contract binding and all that stuff. So I shifted my entire career into information technology, right? And so from an educator to an IT role, but in the IT role, I was actually looking at supplies and contracts, and I found like this passion to do this, right? I worked, in between of that, I worked with immigration on visa statuses for the company and making sure that, when they came from offshore to onshore, that, the protocols were met, the legal requirements were met. So it was such a shift for me. And then after that, I decided, I want to go back to school. Maybe I'll do information technology as, another minor of like software developer or something. And then I went to DeVry, and I ended up taking HRM, right? Because I did so much people management at work that I felt like, okay, this is another great opportunity. Let me grab that. Again, something that I wasn't even thinking of, right? So I took that approach, graduated with HRM. But today, I can say that all the stuff that I learned that time, and we always say, hey, what you're gonna learn you might not use. I do use it, right? I use it because I learned some things about the psychological, I learned about people management, change management, right, transformation. So that's how I kind of circled out, and I still work for the IT company today, a different one, but that's where I came with that wide range of background on my end. When I was asked to be a politician was, like I said, I was just like, what am I gonna do there, right? But my father, and I say this all the time, some of you guys know this, he was a leader in his community. And I think a lot of this comes from our upbringing too, of how we were brought up. I always told my dad, back then, he wasn't thinking about being a politician, and I think today he could have been, but he was like, let's serve the community. How do I serve the people? How do I do this? He spoke broken English, but that was enough for him. He was able to go help people do paperwork and open up a PSEG account and, do things for them. And that to me was like a spark that I always saw like, okay, how he was helping people. And my mom was, she's a housewife, so what she would do is she was like opening a soup kitchen in our kitchen, right? And she would feed them. So as people are coming in to do like their requirements, my mom is feeding them because she said always, you never let anyone go home hungry from your house and never go to anyone's house empty-handed, right? So that was always like instilled in all of our brains that you have to continue doing something. So this position for me was so easy to kind of blend in because I already had that growing up. I was working with people. I was seeing how my dad was handling, my mom was handling people. So what I do today, I do with passion. I don't do it because of a title or entitlement. It's because I enjoy working with people. And there are times with all of us will agree that it's not always fun, right? You get into the political world of it, right? And it gets a little bit ugly. But it's okay because we have a team. And so when I feel it's a certain way, I call sometimes my peer councilwoman Frances, right? I'll call my friend Tina, or I'll call Chanel for advice. And I think that because we have that inner group of leaders where we can count on people, it helps. So always understand that, if there is something that you want, and this is specifically females, right? Because I think, like I said, we don't always reach out, right? Reach out to one of us if it's interesting to you. If there's a government role that you see that would want to be in your eye, or if it's not even government, if you want advice on something, general things, reach out to us. We're open, right? There are times we might be, in a meeting, because we're in a lot of community meetings like right now, like this kind of, session, where we're not going to respond to you right away, but give us a day to respond, right? And I think we will. So I'm going to give it to these guys to talk about their careers, their, life, and then if there's anything that inspired you to become a politician.
That's a big one. Again, I want to say, sitting here thinking, I realize a woman's work is never done. And as a woman, you know that. You're constantly working and constantly moving and constantly growing. As I said earlier, I wanted to be a pediatrician, but I wanted to be a pediatrician because I wanted to help people. And as she was said, my mother had an open door policy. Anybody who came in anywhere kind of stopped in our house. I married someone from Sierra Leone, and when anybody came into Newark Airport or JFK, they had to spend the night at my house. And they didn't have any place to stay when they came in here, and trust me, there are a lot of people like that. They were at my house so they could get on their feet. And my children learned from that, hey, we have to take care of those who are less fortunate than us. That's what we are. I worked as many jobs as I needed to raise my family. Sometimes it was one, sometimes it was two, sometimes it was three. But what I always did was make sure that my family was taken care of. What I did, I worked in York, and they went to school in Linden, and they were all part of what we call a forensics club, because they were teaching them how to speak. And I used to write speeches for them. So teachers actually made me in charge of speech writing because I wrote speeches. I never wanted to speak. I'm a type B personality, which if anybody knows that, I like to do stuff in the background. I like to tell you how to do everything and tell you how the right way to do it, because I make those plans, but I didn't have to do the plans. So as I was teaching them to write the speeches and teaching them how to do the speeches, then they kind of hit me to say, you need to do more of this. So I started kind of from the background coming forward. I would leave North, come to pick up a whole lot of children and take them to their competitions in Livingston. So I went to Livingston, back to Livingston, had to take them back home. But that's what you do as a mother, as a person who's concerned about their community, and making sure that our children get the best that they can do. Part of the reason I'm here is because I want to make sure those people are taken care of, the children, or people who don't know what to do or how to do it, so I can help them. Being a pediatrician, being a surrogate, being a lawyer, it's like I did a lot of pro bono work as a lawyer, and I can't do so much now because I'm a surrogate, but I did that, especially with guardianships, because you needed somebody. The people out there needed help. So my thing was to help you and to give back. It's like, if you can't give back to your community, then what are you doing? So, I mean, we're not here to be alone. No man is an island, and we have to remember that and be part of everything. So I mean, I can go on about my education, but that was because God blessed me to be able to have an education. I can go on about why I got here, it's because I was needed. And you're in the position you are when you need to be. And that's why I'm here now, because I guess I'm needed. So again, thank you for having me.
I guess our stories are similar, and as we can see through careers and stories and upbringing, as women, we're constantly evolving to be able to be of service to others. I started off as an electrical engineer major. I worked in engineering and projects from the time I was a sophomore in high school to the time I was a sophomore in college. I got tired of doing projects. I got bored, believe it or not, with engineering. So I switched to physics. I could be an electrical engineer with a physics degree and not do projects. And so I ended up getting a scholarship. I'm a member of Sigma Pi Sigma, which is honor society, physics honor society. But I started a family. I went in the military. Not too many women work on aircraft, so I worked on fighter jets for 8 years. I used my engineering skills and critical thinking skills to continue in that vein. So I served 8 years. And then as the family came, I got married, had kids. I got out the military. My ex-husband was in the military. And then I came to New Jersey. And my son said to me, "You make good money and you didn't finish college." Aha moment for me. I can't tell you what to do and not lead by example. So I went back to school, went to Rutgers. My degree is labor studies and employee relations. But I worked in IT for over 20 years in telecommunications and in a hospital. So as our careers and our lives change, we are constantly evolving and being where we are needed. There's a verse in the Bible that says, grow where you're planted. So you continue to do the work. We continue as women to evolve, to be where we're needed, to do the work where it is needed, to fill in the gaps. We don't ask questions, we just do. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And I think sometimes we burn ourselves out because we're always there for everybody else. And so fast forward to 2009, there was an incident at the high school where there was a practice and not a policy that was being followed. And I was in the background, critical thinking, this is the way we could have done it differently, this is the way we could have done it better. And we were divided as a community. Racial slurs, racially, ethnically, and I had a voice where I was saying, well, council, could we have done this? Police department, could we have done this? School board, could we have done this? And so the Department of Justice came in and they wanted to start a crisis response team that included community leaders, the police department, the Board of Education, and the community. And so they left, and we as the community still had to do the work. I don't care about lights, camera, action. I don't care about being on the news media, being on national news for some of the not so pleasant things. And Franklin at the time was not being portrayed in a positive light. But there are so many positive things and great things in this community. And so I vowed to make sure that Franklin became a beacon community, a way of showing how we can come together despite our differences, because we are more alike than we are different. Regardless of your socioeconomic background, your race, your ethnicity, your religious practices, we all have a common goal of wanting a better life for ourselves and our family. So how do we do this together? And so when the time came for an opening on council, I said, I'll step up. I cannot sit by the sidelines and just be a participant or a cheerleader when I know I have something to offer. And so I did that, and this will be 10 years this year. I started on council. Then 2 years later, I was asked to run at the county level. First time running at the county level, it was called Freeholder at the time, which was a lexicon that was steeped in a time of bigotry, hatred, and racial divide. The term freeholder was you could not run for a county elected office unless you own land free and clear. So that meant person of color were excluded and women were excluded. So in 2021, I was one of 19 black county elected officials to push for the state to change the name. We were the only and last state to use that term in the United States of America. Just like New Jersey was the last to abolish slavery. So in the year 2000 or something, why are we still using these negative lexicons and names and nomenclatures? So here we are. We have 4 great women leaders before you, constantly evolving, being where we're needed, doing what we need to do. And I would agree, Sheba, none of us do it for the fame, fortune, or the title. Because if I never get voted into office ever again, I'm still gonna serve. Serving long before, as you hear our stories, you were serving long before we had a title. And I dare say we will continue to be serving well after. I want my legacy to be that my service that I was a part of outlives me. And that is being a part of a team, being a part of something that is greater than myself. And so now I've been serving, this is my 3rd term as a Somerset County Commissioner, formerly known as Freeholder, the first African American to hold that title. Again, I don't want to be the first, the last, or the only. But we do it because there is work to be done, and we stepped up, we leaned in, we continue to be a voice for the voiceless. Step up, and speak out, because there is so much more that we are as a community and as a nation. And regardless of what you hear, sound bites, the negative sound bites in the news media, or whether you get it off your TikTok or X or Instagram, reach out and touch your leaders, just like we are here, present, visible, and responsive. There's always something that someone can do. And if you have an idea, even if we're not doing things great, we're open to listening and hearing. The community is the eyes, ears, and boots on the ground when we're not there. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't have all the answers. And I think a mark of a great leader is also being able to show vulnerability, but also accepting when we don't have the answers, accepting feedback and criticism from those who put us in office and those who didn't. When someone calls my office, I don't ask if they're a Dem or Republican. I ask, how can I help you? And we need more leaders in this nation, in this world, that are willing to step up and be leaders for all people at all times. So, constantly evolving, bloom where you're planted. Whatever you have to offer, you are blessed to be a blessing, to be able to be that community leader, whether in the background or the foreground. I don't like being up front. I stay up all night and work in the background. I'm one of those people. I discovered about myself during COVID. I am an introvert with extrovert tendencies. So I just want to see the work done. So again, that song was apropos. Que sera, sera, whatever will be. That's a mark of a great leader, evolving. Just not being of yourself and to yourself, but being able to be there for the people that need you and vice versa. So thank you.
Well, you heard my story about how I got into politics. I can tell you my background a little bit. So I was not one that said, oh, I want to be a mother, oh, I want to get married, oh, I want to have children. I was never that person at all. And believe it or not, my parents were very, very strict. And they required that I got straight A's. So from first grade all the way to 12th grade, I got straight A's. And if I came home with a B or a C, I would get a whooping. And that's the truth. And I had a sister who would bring home C's. I remember one day I said, well, how come you don't beat her? Why are you beating me? And they said, because you are capable. You can bring home A's. And so I said, okay. So because I was a straight A student, and because I grew up very, 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 very poor, and when I say poor, I'm talking about my father was a hunter and a fisherman. He did work on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, but he used to get laid off quite a bit. And my mother, my father he went up to the 6th grade, he never even graduated from high school. And my mother was, she went to school and she became a secretary. But we used to stand in the government lines and get the government cheese and the government powdered milk and what have you. So in my mind, the only thing I could ever think of was that I never wanted to be poor a day in my life. That's what drove me. Now, what did that mean for me? How can you make sure that you'll never be poor? Well, I knew if I got straight A's, I got a good education, I could go to college, I could get out of that rut, right? So I ended up getting a fully paid scholarship to go to Harvard. So I went to Harvard. When they asked me what did I want to major in, I had looked in the newspaper and I saw engineer, and I thought, oh, if I majored in engineering, I'd have the engineering job. I'd never be unemployed. So I decided I was going to be an engineer. Not that I wanted to be an engineer, I just felt like I would never be unemployed. And I even remember my first week at Harvard, my academic advisor said to me, you will never be an engineer. I don't even know why you're here. And so that is what drove me to make sure I got the grades and then I graduated. And I got out of school, I became an engineer in telecommunications, and I did that for 5 years in New York City. And then I left there because I was bringing in people, they were bringing in people and having me train them, and they kept hiring people and promoting people that I was training. And the boss that I had, he didn't like me because I went to Harvard, and he was not the one that hired me. So I left that job. Long story short, I started working at Bell Labs as a member of technical staff down here, right here in New Jersey. And I realized if I stayed on the technical staff path, that whole path, I would not make a lot of money. So I decided, for me, what was driving me was never being poor. So I ended up moving into consulting in Bell Labs. I became a consultant, and from there, I moved on to the management path. So now, what I'm doing now, again, que sera, sera, sera. My life has never really been truly planned. But one of the things that at some point I opened up my own business and I got involved in consulting, project management consulting. And I really like working on projects because I get very bored. Unlike you didn't want to work on a project. I like working on projects because they have a beginning and an end, right? And so I can move on. And so what I'm doing now, I work in New York City. I'm a vice president. And believe it or not, what's for you will come to you. What's for you will come to you. And que sera, sera. So now the areas that I manage is life sciences. I know nothing about life sciences. Research, I know nothing about research. I started in the company as the project manager consultant in my own business, and then they hired me. And so at one point they put me in charge of the PMO, Project Management Office. So I went from there to having a project management office, life sciences, research, quality assurance, operations, and systems. And that's what I'm doing now. Never planned that. That's where I'm at. So I say all that to say that what's for you will come to you. And if you are someone who believes in a level of excellence, hard work will pay off. And if you believe in helping others, and the job that I have, I bring in people that necessarily don't have the background, and I train them, I mentor them, I coach them, and I'm in information technology, and believe it or not, most of my team is diverse. I have the only team in the whole company where I brought in a lot of diversity. Indians, black people, and I've been told, well, why are you bringing that person and they don't have any experience? Because I'm going to take them under my wing and I'm going to train them. So my life has always been not about me, it's always been about how can I help other people. And God has blessed me because of that. And that's pretty much my life story and my background. And I don't know what's going to be next, I can tell you that. But I know that God is in control of my life, and whatever He wants me to do, here I am. Here I am. What's the scripture? Here I am.
Here I am. Send me.
Send me. Here I am. Send me. That's the scripture.
And in the Hebrew word is Hanani. Here I am, right here in my. To be able to serve.
That's it. Do people have questions?
Chief Guest panel.
Well, thank you for all the inspiring stories, actually. So being a Franklin resident, my question would be, what's one of the biggest challenges that you see in Franklin Township, and what we can do as women to help?
I would say people always complain about taxes. That taxes are so high. Cost of living here is so high. And it's like that everywhere in New Jersey. And one of the things that we struggle with is that expenses go up every year, right? This year alone in the budget, our health insurance has increased by over $1 million. So what does that mean? How are we going to pay for the services that we need to provide to Franklin Township? So one of the things that I find as a woman specifically, thinking about what our children need, what our seniors need, what our constituents need, what our residents need here in the township, how can we provide those services to people without increasing taxes? So to me, the biggest challenge is with the money that we bring in, how do we utilize that money? And how do we keep things stable in terms of stabilizing taxes and still be able to provide the kinds of programs and services that our youth and our people in Franklin Township need, be it recreation, be it things that we need to do for certain seniors. I find that to be the biggest challenge as a woman, because that's what I'm most concerned about.
I would have to agree, and I often tell people, and I speak in layman's terms, when your family grows, your expenses grow. That mean a higher budget for groceries. Your transportation needs may change, so you may have to buy a larger vehicle. That's an increase in expense. You may have to change your living situation, so your home may have to increase to accommodate it. It's the same way in government. As our population grows, we need to provide more services to the community. Your school population grows, then your schools have to get bigger. You may have to build a new school to accommodate the growth. Your services at your police department, your fire department, your 911 at the county level, your portion of your taxes that goes to the county, your portion of taxes that goes to your fire district, all are interdependent and related. So people often complain about the taxes, but think about the services that you are being provided. At the county level, it's your human services, it's which includes seniors, youth, veterans, those with disabilities. You have whatever we support for the surrogate's office, the clerk's office, the sheriff's department, our parks, our county parks, our county roads and bridges. And it's a team effort. And when they say all politics are local politics, you have your local. They talk to the county then talks to the state then talks to federal. And sometimes you can go from local straight to federal because of the relationships that we have. I think all of our elected officials from the local all the way up to federal, I have their cell phone numbers and on speed dial. We do communicate often. As a matter of fact, coming here, someone needed a letter of recommendation for their immigration. And they were trying to get a hold of someone at the county. Well, lo and behold, I reached out to that person. Of course, the county is closed. That person actually had someone in their community to help draft the letter. That department or that leader at the county actually was able to sign that letter and get that to them today. So this is the type of work we do. It's not a Monday through Friday. It's not a 9-to-5 job. Actually being an elected official, besides a surrogate, a constitutional officer who has pretty much a 9-to-5 and beyond job, elected officials such as council and commissioners, it's part-time. It's part-time. But we do it, and I often say, sometimes there are challenges. It may be hard work, but I often say it's heart work. We don't do it for the fame, the fashion, or the fortune. It's because we care about the community in which we live. And that community being whether it's 21 municipalities for me throughout the county. I may not live in a community of Hillsborough or Montgomery, I live right here in Franklin, but I'm of the community. And we have to continue to, again, love our neighbors as we love ourselves. What the taxes that we impose or appropriations, it goes for us too. We're not exempt. So people make it about the politics. Oh, you doing this, you doing that, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But whatever decisions and policies that we do, it impacts us too, whether positively or negatively. We're part of that. We're part of the community. We're not just figureheads. So keep in mind the things that you complain about. Again, reach out. There may be some insight or intel that you may have that we may not even thought about. Let us know, and vice versa. If you can't get a meeting with someone that is a leader in your community or a response, that's a problem. We can agree to disagree, but let's work together to move our communities forward. And I think that's the way we're gonna be able to do it. As far as a female or a woman, the challenges have been that I think society has put us in a box. While they value what we bring to the table, they don't value us enough to put us forward. So we don't have to ask for permission. We just have to kick the door down and get it done because we know we can get it done. And you said, we are women, hear us roar. Oh, we're coming. We're coming. We're not stopping. There's so much work to do. But I just say buckle up, hold on tight because we're in for a ride. But it can be a smooth ride. We just have to continue to work together. But with those challenges, I often say there are opportunities. Opportunities to show who we are as a community, opportunity to show who we are as women leaders, and an opportunity to continue to be a beacon of hope, not only for the future, the resiliency. I heard yesterday in a International Women's Breakfast, resiliency is not a destination, it's a journey. We have hope, we have our future, and we have work that we need to do and continue to do for the community.
After that, I'm so fortunate to be up here with 3 other phenomenal women and politicians in Franklin Township. It's like, do I really belong here? Because these women are great. But to answer your question, I think your question was, what can you do and we do as women to help Franklin move and go up a notch? And I think part of the answer to that is get involved. Okay, there's a women's organizations, there's organizations all over Franklin. There's commissions within Franklin, within the party here, within the commissioners, council people. They have, you can get involved. And that's the thing, it's like, we have families, we have work to do, but we have to become involved in our community to make sure the community grows and goes into the right direction. And if we don't do that, like part of what's happening right now with the economy is going to get worse before it gets better. So a lot of people are going to suffer. So think about those in food insecurity. So we have to make sure the people in Franklin do not starve, do not go hungry. So that's going to be one of my important initiatives coming forward. So I think that to get involved, if you're asking me how to get involved in that, make sure people have food to eat. Make sure they have homes, and we don't have a lot of homeless people in Franklin Township, because there are, and we need to make sure they're taken care of. Our job as women, we never rest. If you think we do, someone's telling you a story. So our job is to make sure we get out there and look at those other people and see how we can help them. There's plenty of organizations in Franklin. If I start to name them all, I'm going to forget somebody, so I'm not going to do that. But we need to make sure we become part of it. And we can start off in the background, but you as a woman will move up to the front for it. And you're going to do what you need to do, but make sure we take care of our people in our community. That's what we're here for. So I hope I answered your question a little bit and making sure we take care of it, but that's why we're important here. And again, thank you for having us here. I really appreciate it to see you. Thank you, because we need to be able to tell you what we're about and what we're doing.
Thank you for that. I think they addressed some of the challenges that we have in Franklin and just women challenges that we have. I think one of the things I always say and I promote is women empowerment wherever I go. And it's and it's back to the points of the young leaders, because they are the next generation, right? We have to get them up and running. So promoting that empowerment, making sure that, you know, giving them the opportunities to speak, giving them that platform is up to us also, right? So wherever I go, I try to make sure that if I'm hosting an event, I try to make sure that it's run by a high school student, run by a middle schooler, so that it gives them an opportunity. And if they make a mistake, I want them to make the mistake with me, so I can, you know, promote them and get them out of the bubble of being the introvert. Because I think I was an introvert as well growing up, and somehow things change as you work. So, you know, the challenges that one of the things that comes to my mind, at least right now, is, you know, we have to be kind to each other. I think with the world of so much going on, specifically in our roles, right? Sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but we come across very aggressive, and, you know, we just have to tone it down and be nice to each other. We have enough competitors out there that are fighting for us, right? That are fighting against us. We need the woman to support women. We need our sisters to support sisters. If we are doing something wrong, I'd rather have you approach me and openly tell me how I can do it better, you know, sit on a table and learn, rather than having that backbite and, you know, that going on, the drama. So I think it's so important that at least I mentioned it out, saying that, you know, we have to be supporting of each other. We have to be our champions, our sponsors, because we don't have a lot of that. And I think, as you heard from all of us, there's so many challenges, right? In our town, I mean, I can go on. The taxes is one of them. Public safety, health, infrastructure. There's so much things that are going on that I'm dealing with, and I am in Ward 2, which I have a lot of seniors in my ward. So I hear from all of them, and I try to work with them together as a team, because as Shana mentioned, that, you know, we don't have a magic ball, right? I don't have all the answers, and so sometimes I have to say, no, this is not possible, or that's not possible. But you know, the understanding of working together as a team and having that, you know, you get a lot of ideas. So one of the last messages that I would want to say is just, let's be kind to each other, right? I think it's so important. We need to be stronger with each other, and as united, we can do a lot of things. We almost had our president, Harris, right? And that's been our first one president, and we try to reach these ladders, but then we get shut down, right? And I think a lot of it is also because it's sometimes, I wouldn't say it's us, right? We don't have that full force yet, and I think we need to work together so we can climb those ladders very easily and not get shut down by someone at the top. So thank you so much for having us here today. Thank you, Pinay America, for this amazing International Women's Day event. I hope, you know, if you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out to us. Vala here has all of our contacts. If you need our contacts after the event, please feel free to come up to us as well. But thank you very much for hosting this beautiful event and having us here.
I want to say on March 25th at our county commissioner meeting, we will be doing proclamations and citations in recognition of Women's History Month. So I invite the Women's Club to come and receive a proclamation for your organization, as well as the Deny America for the women who helped to facilitate and bring this program forward. Please bring the young people, and definitely, I know sometimes our meetings conflict, but sometimes we finish and then they can come, but I will make sure that all women on the panel also receive a proclamation or citation for being great women leaders in this community, so thank you.
Thank you for sharing the inspiring journey. Each one had your own version of different inspiring stories, and we definitely had a lot of golden words from you, like about women empowerment, what we need to carry, like, you know, constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly working towards the goal. Thank you so much for those words. And next, we have the last.
Thank you very much for being here. We, as an organization, we usually receive some questions like Councilwoman Kimberly Francis went to Harvard. I think you're all in politics. So the young generation, we actually had one event where it was a junior boot camp for the youngsters for politics. Right? We connected with Edison Democratic Party organization. We had that long back. So one of the questions we often receive is maybe for Kimberly Francis, what's the step to Harvard for the youngsters here, right? For County Commissioner Chanel and Shifa Uddin, Deputy Mayor, what's the step to politics, right? I mean, these are our young leaders here, so young women. And then for Tina, surrogate, so how do we get into like opportunities in county and township? There are a lot of opportunities. So how do we get people know about these opportunities? Maybe that will be helpful this Wednesday. Thank you.
Some counselors say you cannot be there.
You want me to answer the Harvard question? Okay. Well, I can tell you how I got into Harvard. I had straight A's. And in the 9th grade, I started studying for the PSAT. And I studied for that for 2 years, and I took it. And then I studied for practically from 9th grade to 12th grade for the SAT. And I was able to get over 1,500 score to get in, right? And so, and then the other thing I did was I did a lot of community service. I was very, very active at a young age, involved in the community. And they wanted to make sure that you, not only did you have good grades, but that you were actually doing other things other than good grades. And so I had jobs where I worked in the hospital. I had jobs where I worked in the soup kitchen, because again, I grew up poor, so I had that kind of a sensitivity to that. So I was pretty much well-rounded. I was able to write a very good essay and present myself well and speak well. So you have to be a very well-rounded person to get into Harvard. And I do sit as an alumni, and so I do interviews. And so if anybody ever wants to get into Harvard, and since I'm local, you'll come to my house, I'll interview you, I'll make a recommendation, you can get in.
Yeah, I think education is key, and while college is not a path forward for everyone, you have to have a life plan. Coming back to the trades, I graduated with my degree again in human relations from Rutgers University. My concentration is diversity and employment law. But certainly have a life plan. Do something. There are certifications to get in whatever school you want to. There are plenty of organizations that give out scholarship each year, whether high school or college students. And as far as getting involved politically or in community engagement, if you're in finance, look at the budget. Start talking to your council people or your county commissioners or your state assembly people, or even at the federal level, and give ideas and thoughts to the budget process. If you're in human relations, there's a human relations commission. There's a human relations commission at the state level. If you're in planning and engineering, maybe apply to be part of planning and zoning on that committee. You can form ad hoc groups or affinity groups based on your specialty or skill set, and offer your level of expertise to your elected officials. That's how you can get involved. I mean, if you're an avid reader, the mayor makes an appointment to the library board. We have at the county level Commission on the Status of Women to help grow STEM for our young ladies. We have planning and zoning, improvement authority, planning. If you're an engineer, there are some groups that require an engineer by trade. We have on the county website, and I believe also on the Franklin Township website, the different committee commissions and boards. And every so often, some are annually, some are every 3 years, some are every 5 years. It depends on the committee, commission, and board. And when the vacancies become available, you tell someone that I'm interested in being on that. And then that's a way to stay engaged and involved. And again, if you have a skill set and there's something that we're not doing, or the community can be doing it better or differently, be vocal about it. We have to do this together. We're not an island, we're not alone. We're going to only move forward and higher together. So bring your voice, bring your skill sets, your knowledge and understanding of whatever that is, bring it to the table. We can always work together.
Not everybody can get into Harvard. So I went to Syracuse University and got a bachelor's of science there. Then I went to Rutgers University North and got my master's in public administration in the healthcare system, because I worked in the healthcare for 25 years. And then I went to law school, like I said, after that. So And education obviously is very important, but there are a lot of people in the technical field that do a lot of good things. We need our plumbers, we need our electricians, we need a lot of people. So what I would say, as far as getting to college or getting to the path you want, go into your high school and look at the organizations in the high school. Because anybody who's looking to hire you is looking to see, or to go to college, is looking to see what you did in high school. That's not the do all, make all, end all, but that's where you get started at. So in high school, there's every type of organization that you can ask for. And if there's not, create it, okay? We didn't have a Black History program in my school that I went to. We created it. Again, I was in the background, make sure it happened, but it happened. So you're gonna have to make sure that if you want something to happen, you get out there as a woman, or as a person anyway, woman or not, to make it happen. You can make it happen. You have the power. And you bring people together, and that's how things ultimately happen. There are organizations in the municipality, in the county, that will look at you. Look online. Everything's online nowadays. When I was there, you had to look at the newspaper and do everything, but now everything's online. So look online, see what interests you, and start moving towards that interest. In high school, in college, and in college I was in a lot of organizations, again, medical, but then I went into a lot of political organizations, because when I was in high school, we did a lot of riots. So we were trying to make sure that the people who came into Syracuse University actually were on a fair playing ground as everybody else. So if anybody's interested in Syracuse University, you could contact me. I can my children went to Syracuse, all of them graduated from there. My dad graduated, I have nieces and nephews. I have great nieces and nephews who are at Syracuse. So what we do as I guess just as a person, is make sure that we help those that come up after us. So everybody on this panel, if you're interested in anything they're doing, reach out to them. We will help you. We will make sure that you get where you need to be as best as possible. And we'll show, if we can't help you, we'll show you the people who can. So that's what we're here for. And that's our jobs. Thanks.
I can already see a line forming on Kimberly's address. She didn't give out her address, though. She just said meet me at my house. But where are we going, Kimberly? But that's amazing. I did not know about that, Councilwoman. So thank you for. Actually, I learned a lot myself sitting here with these amazing leaders, and it's always good to learn about that. So very nice to know that she's from Harvard. How do the kids get engaged? I think everyone said the same thing. It's, we have a Franklin Township website that's always refreshed, and it tells you what are the openings. We have a lot of boards and committees that have openings. So if you're interested in any of that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the general is like 18 years plus, right? So you have to be 18 years to be on those boards. If you're interested in any of those, you'll sometimes see on the council meetings, which is actually happening this Tuesday. And I want to mention that we also are giving a proclamation for the International Women's Day on that. So you guys are all welcome to be part of that as well. Towards the end of our meeting, we always say, are there any boards or vacancies that needs to be filled, right? That's because we are constantly looking for people to join and be part of the communities of whatever that interests you, right? If you don't even know what interests you and you just want to say, hey, I want to be part of it, but I don't know where to go, and you need direction, just reach out. We can probably narrow it down by just a couple questions on where you want to be, right? Because what I would not want to do is place you on a board, let's say advisory board of health, and which is monitored by a lot of the medical field, and you don't want, that's something you don't want to be part of. You want to be part of Parks and Recs, which is more of the programs that happen in town, culture events, right? So we can make sure that we narrow it down to get you somewhere you want to be. And if, let's say, if you're not 18 and you're younger than that, and you just want to be part of any events that happen in town, we can still get you involved, because there's a lot of events that happen and they give you hours. Some of you guys need your hours for high school, and we have a lot of things that we have done in the past where we gave hours out to kids. So make sure it's just, again, about you having your parent reach out to us, or you, if you're 18 over, reaching out to us. I think what we're saying is that we're pretty open, right? We're just like you humans, right? So please give us a call if you have any questions, and we'll be able to help you navigate navigate you to where you want to be. But there are plenty of opportunities. There's a lot, and there's something for everyone. So thank you again.